course, some guys can give you a hard time sometimes about being a Dibiase, being third generation. Oh, he's got it easier because he's Ted's son. They got it completely wrong. I've heard it from my dad's mouth. He told me before I got down here, it's not going to be easier for you. He goes, but I expect you to be the first one there every day and the last one to leave, because you got to show people just because you're my son doesn't mean you want it the easy way. And that's true.
I think it's a good pressure to have on you, because you know the expectations are very high, but that means you just have to work that much harder. And if you end up working that much harder, that means you'll end up being that much better, and you'll end up being more successful in the long run.
That's right. I agree 100%.
Now, with having, obviously being part of that family, at the same time, do some of the veterans gravitate a little bit more towards you once they find out? I know a lot of guys are, enjoy working with some of the younger talent, but at the same time, when you have that name, people are like, oh, you're Ted's son. Oh, let me talk to you. Let me work with you. Let me give you some words of encouragement.
Yeah, it's funny. It can be different with certain guys. I just had a chance to be at WrestleMania this past, I guess it was last week or the week before, and there's certain guys that maybe my dad was closer to, some of the veterans up there, that they come and say hello, and very nice and very approachable and give me advice with what I'm doing. We've had a few guys come down to school, but then again, there's those guys who are there now who they're gonna. It's like you got to earn that. I guess maybe that respect or that position. They won't just take you right under their arm and act like they're your buddy. You got to earn that, which is how it should be. You got to earn that level of respect to be there and be a part of that group, because we're a family. Even at FCW, we always say we're a family, all of us guys, and it takes time to. You gotta earn your stripes, basically, is what I'm saying. But like I said, there are some guys that my dad had a closer relationship with that have given me great advice. Have actually come down. I've had a chance to roll around with a few guys, and but yeah, it just depends on the person, just how they see it.
Now, since you got an opportunity to go to WrestleMania, and with you growing up in the wrestling business, being in that kind of atmosphere, is it still kind of bigger than life for you, or do you kind of say, wow, this is really cool, but I've kind of been around before. Can you kind of temper those emotions, or do they still kind of like just get wide-eyed when you see all that?
Oh man, that's a great question, and I'm glad I get to answer this, because I love my job. I consider myself one of the luckiest kids in the world. I wake up and I'm excited to go to work every day, because I was at WrestleMania, and I can remember before the show I had a chance to go out in the arena. And I was out there by the ring and stood in the ring and with my brother, and I just remember looking around Reliant K, and I got chill bumps. And I remember I was just sitting there in awe. I was like, oh my gosh, this is incredible, and it's motivating. And then when I was watching the show, especially I can remember some of the matches like Taker and Shawn, who had just an unbelievable match, and when Cena picked the two guys up on his shoulder, and then Triple H and Orton, who, had that hot angle going, and everybody's ready to see Hunter just, demolish Orton. And, I caught myself as a fan. And I've been doing this for almost a year now, and I've been around it my whole life, but it's still the magic of it. That's why we do what we do. If you don't love, in this business, if you don't love it, and it's most people who are in it that don't love it won't ever make it, because you have to love what you do, especially as wrestlers, because of what you put your body through and the training you got to go through. It takes somebody who loves it that much and has that much heart and that much passion for it. But yeah, to answer your question, it never becomes just like, oh, this is just my job, this is what I do, ever.
Yeah.
And I can answer this, I can say this with confidence, it never will be that to me. I love it so much, just to go out there and entertain the people and give them what they want is exactly what I'll do,
Last week I spoke with Drew McIntyre, and he mentioned, the Undertaker Shawn Michaels match as well, and he said, hey, you know what, I know Steve Keirn is going to be breaking that out down here and showing it. Has Steve already done that? Has he already had a class down there with FCW where he's broke that out and shown that match to everybody?
Not yet. I don't know if they have a copy of it yet, but I will, to back up Drew, he's right. They will definitely show that that match because that was one of the greatest sports entertaining matches I've ever, probably one of the greatest WrestleMania matches ever, if not the best. And there's been a lot, but those two guys, I respect both of them out of this world because, they've been doing this their whole lives, and those are two guys right there who love it, and it's not just a job to them. They go out there because they love to do it, and they don't do it for the money. They do it because, like I said, they love it that much.
Well, Florida Championship Wrestling coming to Kissimmee on Saturday night. We'll talk about that show here in just a moment as well. But you get an opportunity, obviously, every week, Brett, to train with Dusty Rhodes and Steve Kern. What kind of road stories do they share with you from their days working with your dad?
Oh, gosh. Man, I've heard so many stories, it's hard to even pick one out of my mind. But, having a chance to sit down with two guys that my dad was very close to and considers two of his best friends in this whole world. Steve, when I first got here, he told me, he said, your dad brought you down here because me and your dad are close friends. We've been very close. We traveled the roads a lot together, and he asked me to treat you like a son, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. And so Steve and Dusty both, they've one story real quick. Dusty actually, when my dad was an agent, he always tells me he saved my dad's life because when my dad was on the road one morning, they were in a hotel down in the cafeteria having breakfast, and my dad he had passed out earlier up in his room, and he came downstairs. He thought he was okay, and he went to sit down, and Dusty said, he goes, yeah, baby. He goes, your daddy's eyes rolled in the back of his head, and he went flat back in the chair, and I had to pick him up over my shoulder and throw him in the van and haul him to the hospital. He goes, I saved his life. And, Dusty's just being Dusty. He's so funny.
Right.
And, but so he, my dad ended up being fine, but, stories like that can go on and on and on for days. You could sit at a table for 12 hours and listen to them talk. It's very, very entertaining.
Last thing, when it comes to you, obviously everybody in FCW is chomping at the bit to continue to learn and get that opportunity to be brought up to the main WWE roster. Realistically, how long until you think that you're ready and you can be brought up there and would make it? That's hard to say, but if I had to hope, I guess, or if I had to, maybe when I think I might be ready, like I said, I'm 21 years old. I'm still very young, which is good. I've had a chance to start young. So I got time on my side. But, I'm hoping within the next year to 2 years, I'll at least, have an opportunity to go up and have a dark match or do something, to show them, my progression. But a lot of this is timing, too. You never know. My brother being up there, you never know how they could bring me in or what they could do or what ideas they have. And that's just a day-to-day thing. It's so funny. You could be here one day and then be up there tomorrow. You could be here for 2 years and then finally get your break, But I'm hoping within a year or two something good will happen. Just remember, Randy Orton, the youngest world heavyweight champion ever. I believe he was 25, so at least you got a couple of years. Maybe you can catch up to that and break that record. Hey, that's definitely a goal of mine. I would love the opportunity, and I think about those kind of things every day I train. Just having a chance to do that. Actually, that's funny. Me and a good friend of mine, Taylor Rotunda, who is down here now, who's my dad's old partner's IRS, his son. Yep. And we actually had that conversation about one of us being the next one to break that record, and we laugh about those things a lot. So. Well, Florida Championship Wrestling coming to Kissimmee this Saturday night, Heritage Park Exhibition Hall. Bell time is 8 o'clock. Doors open at 6:30. Tickets $25 for ringside. General admissions $15 for adults, $10 for kids. And you can find out more by going to fcwwrestling.com. Brett, thanks again for the time. Appreciate it, and looking forward to the show on Saturday night. Yes, sir. Y'all come check us out.